It is Thursday night, and welcome to a Mitch'n and Mauck'n About the Cards podcast. I'm Mitchell, and with me from beautiful Superstition Ranch in Arizona, where the temperature is high, and so is he, the mouth of the West, Tyrell Mock.
What is up? 22 degrees today when I got in my truck.
Is that the heat index, or is that the actual temperature?
It's actually 119 today.
You know, I've seen videos on TikTok, stuff like that. Are tires really melting out there?
I haven't, but I know. You know what? I don't know. My right back tire needs air in it every morning now, so I think it is going slowly melting itself down. It's been crazy, dude. It's been hot this week. Like, they might say everybody says it's a dry heat out here. I will explain the Arizona heat to everybody who's ever baked in their life. It is a 400-degree oven. Open it up and hit you in the face. That is what Arizona summers are like.
What was it when we got up this morning?
91.
Already 91 degrees at 5 a.m.
Yep. We were walking the dog last night at 8 o'clock, and it was still 111.
That's insane. You missed that Midwest heat, huh?
Oh, I give me humidity all day long over this stuff.
And when are we going to get Superstition Ranch t-shirts? And drop in the comments if you think Tyrell lives on a horse farm, a cattle farm, or a strip club.
That was my 20s.
Yeah. Shout out to Club Vogue. We got a jam-packed lineup today. Let's get right to it. The week in review going into tonight's pod on the off day. The Cardinals were 3-3, 2 out of 3 against the Dodgers, and the 2 wins were really good wins. Those were good baseball games. And of course, you take out the clunker that is the Miles Michaelis show. More on that later. Tyrell, what are your thoughts? 3-3 week. We had talked Sunday, the short hop before the kind of the clunker against the Padres, but 2 out of 3 against a pretty good Dodgers team, showing a little sign of life here.
Yeah, how about them Cardinals exceeding my expectations, going 3-3 when I said 1-5 last weekend? They showed some life. They came back from behind wins 2 of those games, showing some like moxie, like they need to, and went 2 out of 3 against the Dodgers, like you said, and beat probably what I consider the best collection of all-stars in the game right now.
You know, one of those was an Ohtani start. He's, still only thrown about 4 innings. I mean, that right elbow of Shohei Ohtani is held together by bubble gum and baling wire at this point. I mean, he's going to be the first guy in history to have 3 Tommy Johns.
And still come back and throw 100.
All the way around, though. Yeah, still throwing heat at 100 miles an hour. The Michaelis start we talked about, clunker, straight up. Once again, I think he only threw like 74 pitches. Something ridiculous. But I know the topic we really want to talk about was tonight. There's preseason football on. A lot of people were kind of eyes toward that. FanDuel Sports all week. Pimped out. Watch JJ and the Cardinals. Quinn Matthews is on the bump. I think Quinn went 7. I watched just a couple minutes of it. We had a social event tonight. Yeah, Quinn threw 7 shutout baseball. Looked pretty solid. But JJ wasn't in the lineup.
This organization continues to be tone deaf beyond all recognition. We were talking before the pod. You have probably your next superstar that you're going to push, and you set him. What are you guys thinking? I am just baffled and flustered and confused. Like you said it great earlier, like 90% of the fan base has no idea and never seen this guy. They need to see him if you want to
watch the full Memphis game.
No.
I've got access to him. I've never watched a full AAA game. I was going to watch it tonight just to watch Quinn play.
Yep. I want to watch it. Dude's hitting 314 in the last 16, and since he's been called up to the AAA. Like, I want to see this guy. If he's raking in AAA, destroyed the Texas League in AA. Like, let's see what he's got. Like, if he's this good at AAA, and if he's hitting 314 in AAA, you're right next to the bigs. You're a 300 hitter probably. I'm calling it. Career 300 hitter, JJ Weatherholt.
TV doesn't dictate what you do with your team. I get that. But this was your chance to show. I mean, you had your fan base's eyes on your product. And that was just a huge misstep, I think, by whoever makes those calls, the manager, somebody in the front office, or JJ himself maybe decided he needed a day. But of all the ones to take a day, and your fan base was going to watch. Again, how many innings of AAA baseball have you ever watched in your life? 2? Maybe 3?
Maybe 3.
And you've got access with the MLB app. You can watch all the games. But I'm not going to sit down and watch a AAA game. But it was better than watching the Indianapolis Colts game that was on the preseason today. But JJ was in the lineup, so we went and met some friends for some ice cream instead, just because, once again, the organization decided to lose my interest.
As they have been doing since pretty much 2016 for me.
Yeah, they're about to. We're roughly on a decade of me just not living and dying anymore.
Yeah, 100% with you on that one.
Top of the second, we're starting to see a little fire out of Ollie Marmol, and he's a guy who may know his days are numbered and his give a dams are busted. I'm gonna read this what I wrote verbatim in the show rundown. Is Ollie even sick of Mo's shit at this point? He begged off using Eric Fetty. Mo said, "Nah, you're still gonna throw Fetty out there." He made it one more start and went. Begged for Michael McGreevy. McGreevy didn't come up until Fetty was released. Pulled Michaels after 75 pitches the other night. Despite, Miles still didn't look good, but your bullpen was taxed. But a taxed bullpen was still better than Miles at this point. He made a quote today, and we'll talk about it again later, but regarding kind of the runway, Burley, Walker, Gorman specifically, Ollie's quote was, "Your job is to make the manager not take you out of the lineup." Like, even he knows, like, these guys are boo-boo at this point. Like, is he sick of Mo's shit like all of us are?
I think he has to be. He
had
2
years of this, 5 years.
Yeah. He's been pretty professional in how he's talking about it, so he's doing pretty good at that, like walking the line. But yeah, he's tired of it. He's done with it. But he also's got to really understand. Like last year, he wasn't going to say shit because really, the last time anybody questioned Mo, philosophical differences came up and he fired him. So all he might have signed that contract, but he's still going to get fired. And he's a baseball guy, been in it a long time, doesn't want to get fired, wants to be with the Cardinals, been in this organization a long time. And what also makes me kind of interested, and I wrote it down as we were talking about this during the rundown, his bench coach and some of his outfield, John Jay and Daniel Descalzo, those are Tony La Russa guys. So those are your eyeball test guys, not your pure analytics guys, like the front office wants your managers to be now. So you can say all you want about like the front office is running this team, but Ollie, I feel, kind of wants to get back to like, let us run the team like we need to run the team. Like the baseball, you set up the roster how you want, but don't tell me how to who to play and how to play them.
And that brings up my point. We reference this movie all the time, this book, Moneyball. There's that scene where they're talking. I believe it was who was the manager at the time? Oakland. It was Art Howe. Was talking with Billy Beane, and it was, well, still my lineup card. Well, you can't play Pena. Billy, it's my lineup card. Well, I traded him. It's just that kind of defiance. And Billy Beane had a quote in the book or on an interview at one point where he was like, what organization, what company, not just talking about Major League Sports, but what company lets their middle management, which they consider field managers and middle management, have all this control? And that's when you saw your shit from the GMs kind of pulling more control of the day-to-day of what goes on the field. Now, with that, it kind of goes into my third point. New GM coming in probably wants his own guy. Are all his days numbered? And, when you kind of look at the history of what got us to this point, a story came out earlier this week. The guy we love, Tito Francona, watching the interview with the Cardinals after La Russa retired, knew he wasn't going to get the job. He just had a sense, he had a vibe that he didn't want it. Because Mo became the GM in, I believe, after the 2008 season, or the start of the 2008 season, one of the two after Walt was fired. And for those years, Tony La Russa was his boss. Don Tony ran the organization. We need help, go get us help, etc., etc. And John Mosaic decided, nope, I'm in charge. I'm going to make all the decisions. And that's when you brought in Mike Matheny. That first season, 2012, where they played pretty solid. You still looked at Dave Duncan was still on staff for one more year. McGuire was still around. Oquendo. And then he started seeing the shift. McGuire kind of retired to go back home. Spend time. He had young kids at the time. Retired completely. I think that was about the time Chris got sick.
Mm-hmm.
And he started bringing his boys in. Cal Eldred, John Mabry, who was a great player for the Cardinals, but terrible. And that's kind of when the coaching staff the shift kind of changed. The culture started to change through and through. I'm going to go kind of long here, but do you think Ollie's days are numbered? And if so, who are the best replacements for this guy?
Yeah, I think Bloom's going to want his own guy in there, and you have to and I think he's also. I hope he's one of those guys that, hey, I'm a numbers guy. You're the baseball guy. You kind of tell me what you need, and I'll get it for you. I'd hope they can cohesively work like that because that's what it's all about. That front office trust. That's what Jocketty, Duncan, and LaRussa had was, hey, I'm trusting you to do it. I'll make it work with the ownership and the numbers. Don't you worry about it. If you want this guy, I'll get him. All these days are numbered. They just have to be. I don't think he can stay with this organization after Mo leaves because every one of us know that he's Mo's guy, or at one point was Mo's guy. I think now he sees the writing on the wall, like you say, and he's trying to get out. To me, I've got two names in mind, and one of them is going to be somebody I have felt for a long time has always gotten the short end of the stick. Like he's the guy right before a dynasty starts off, and that's Buck Showalter. I like Buck Showalter a lot. My second one, former Colorado's Rockies manager Bud Black.
Oof. Bud Black, led the worst major league team in the Colorado Rockies the last year and a half.
Yeah. But what was he given? He also has probably one of the worst ownership groups and worst GMs in the league too.
And those are great points. Here's a couple, maybe three popular names before I give my pick. The first one that everybody wants is Yachty. I think that's a terrible idea. Just only because, we wax poetic once again about his great defense, etc. The first time the media calls him out, my dude's not going to know habla inglés very quickly. Yachty was never great with the media as a player, but as the manager or the head coach, you got to talk to the media every single day. And I don't know if that would be a real strong suit for him. And in the same boat, putting Albert Pujols in that category too. Everybody wants Albert. We have this dream lineup of the 2011 Cardinals all coming back to coach. Everybody wants Carpenter to be the pitching coach and Holiday, etc. If your superstar is coming back to coach your team, it's going to go south, most likely, and then your memories become tainted. That's just my opinion. The popular names, and kind of see what you think here, is Skip Schumacher.
Yes, after what I saw him do with Florida, I thought he did a phenomenal job with Florida that 1 year.
He was manager of the year.
Yeah, and then gone the next. I think, but where's he at now? Is he?
I think he's out of baseball currently.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I'd like to see Skip maybe, but I agree with you in that aspect of the fans, the coaching staff is not what the fans want to see. They want to see the players on the field. So you're not going to pull fans in just to look at the coaching staff. I know I would love to see that. You talk about a stellar coaching staff with Carpenter as your pitching coach. Hell, you could actually have Molina as your pitching coach if you get honest with yourself. But no, I don't want to see Skip either. I think we need new blood in this organization a little bit. Yeah, we want to go back to the Cardinal way, but I think we need some newer outside perspectives in here. I think Bloom's going to think the same way.
Skip would probably go ahead and keep the Memphis Mafia, Descalzo, John Jay, those guys on staff who were pretty solid coaches, but I tend to agree with you. It's time for an outside voice. We don't need a connection to the franchise, etc. Matheny's only qualification was he was an alleged leader of men until he bullied his way out of the bullpen. And then you look at Mike Schildt, who spent 18 years in the organization, got shown the boot. And then Ollie was his right-hand guy. I don't see Chaim Bloom, going inside the organization despite him knowing it. My vote for the guy is very similar. You want Buck Showalter, and I looked it up. Buck's going to be 70 years old by opening day next year.
Mm-hmm.
My guy, I didn't realize he was this old, so it's going to make me look just as bad as you. But my vote was Clint Hurdle. Former Pirate guy, former Rocky, does less with more. He's currently the bench coach in Colorado now as well. Does really well with developing young players. His in-game strategy is not great, but if you look at, developing young talent, etc., he might be a guy to look at. You bring in a Skip Schumacher, despite what we just said, and throw a Clint Hurdle, an old-timey baseball guy with him, who's going to see how can handle that development. But you're going to need probably somebody who can handle the day-to-day of running a bullpen, managing a lineup, when to hit and run. And that's where, Matheny, in my opinion, always struggled. Matheny never got better. Even his first year, first year head coaches, managers, we all make mistakes. I know I did. But he never got any better. Like, I think somewhere Kevin Seager's left arm is still hurting from 10 years ago. Matheny running him out. Well, it's the seventh inning. There's a lefty up. Well, it's Seager's time. Oh, runner on first. Seth Maness.
Yeah. He did the same thing to him when he took him to Kansas City.
And ran those dudes to the ground.
I have one name that it just popped in my head that is, when you said bench coach, it came into my brain. And I think he was an excellent coach when he was, or excellent manager when he was out there, Don Mattingly.
Oh, Don Mattingly got a raw deal, and I believe in LA. They were winning, but it was LA, so it wasn't to LA expectations. And then was he with the Marlins for a year or two?
For the Marlins for the year, and now he's a bench coach with Toronto.
I mean, that's another one. Baseball lifer, outside organization. But you're probably going to look at somebody who Bloom has ties with. Let me give you one more name before we switch topics. Joe Maddon.
You talk about having a fun team, then. I'd enjoy that. I like Joe Maddon. I didn't want him to go to the Cubs. So I've always liked him. I like his moxie.
But his, another older guy in his best, he's a one-trick pony. I mean, he burns himself out wherever he goes in about 3 years. And, I didn't do my research on the current, Red Sox coaching staff, seeing if there was any of those guys. But generally, when you're in a spot to hire coaches, managers, you pick guys you're familiar with instead of the unknown. So I'm sure there'll be a Boston or a Tampa connection with that pick. And like a mild Michaelis start, it was a long top of the third. Let's go ahead to the fourth. Is the runway working? Burley, Walker, Gorman, Newbar, they're all interchangeable parts at this point. When we look at our notes, you take out Mason Wynn, who's hitting 270, probably going to finish with between 15 and 20 home runs and Gold Glove defense. Okay, well, that's one spot that's taken care of for the next 10 years. I would like to see him get an extension. Well, you got one spot locked down for the rest of this decade. But in my opinion, anything else is wide open for debate. What's your opinion, Ty, on the fact that the runway, it seems to change day to day? Walker got really high when he came off the IL, and then all of a sudden Newt comes back, and the Newt plays 2 out of 3.
No, runway's not working. I agree with you. I want to add one more player to your thing. Herrera. He's the only one that has been, that you're sure of this year. Only one's been given the runway. The only one's won. Gorman, he had has been pulled around and jerked around. He's DH, third baseman, second baseman. Then he had that back injury. Burley, he's your left fielder, first baseman, DH. Like, again, nobody has a position, and that throws off position players a lot when you don't know where you're going to play and how you're going to play that day. Walker, agreed. He started off hot, got hurt, had this appendicitis. He's had a finger injury. And whenever he comes back, he gets hot, and then something else happens. So I think this runway was an excuse to tell fans that, hey, come on down to the ball game and see the future Cardinals.
And Gorman has looked terrible at third base.
Yeah.
Defensively.
Yeah.
They would like to tell you that Burley is the future 3-hitter for the rest of this decade. Not seeing it.
Maybe 6. I'll give him a 6th hitter. Maybe 7. I mean, he's just your... But he's leading your team in home runs. I mean, that's not saying much. He did that too last year too.
But it's under 20 and it's August.
Yeah. That's what I was shocked when I saw Nando's only hit 10 this year. I'm like, oh my goodness, it's August. I thought you could at least get to 20, but you're not going to get anywhere.
And then you see like Cal Riley's got 40, Schwarber's got 40, Otani's got 35. Like, come on.
Yeah. On that note, I was kind of doing a little bit more research. When they say that things were going to be different and everything, you have, and they were quoting their speed. Victor Scott has 29 stolen bases. Good for him. I love that. Mason Wynn, 7. You are 21st in the league in stolen bases right now with 65. You don't have the offensive capability. You have a bunch of young guys who can't put the ball in play and strike out a lot. You need to run. You want to know who the three teams in front of us are? We're chasing? How many stolen bases they have? Milwaukee Brewers are second in the league with 128 stolen bases. Cubs have 121. Yeah. And the Reds have 85.
They changed all those rules. The bases are bigger, etc. To the pitch throw over rules to increase stolen bases. And we got the pomp and circumstance show, like, oh, we're going to run more. No.
Again, that's why your runway's not working. You could have generate so much offense with Wynn, and I think Wynn might also be faster than Scott, because I saw that dude out here in Diamondbacks, and that dude's fast. And I thought Scott is very fast too. I'm not gonna lie, but Wynn got around the bases a little bit quicker, I thought. But it could be.
But there's different speed from straight ahead 40 time to running the bases exceptionally well. Pujols was never a fast guy, but he was an extremely smart base runner. He could go first to third better than anybody in the league, just because of how smart he was. You talk about, well, the lack of strikeout, or the lack of putting the ball in play, so you can't hit and run. So that way they're so afraid of getting a guy thrown out, kill a rally. But heck, 80% of the time, the rally's dead anyway, just based on how many times this season have you seen second and third, one out, and they get nothing.
So many times. It's depressing. I've never seen, and I don't understand it, how a Major League Baseball player has a 95-mile-an-hour fastball right down the dick and they just watch it go by. And I'm like, what are you doing? Sitting on a changeup?
And that's, we talked about when you talk about the coaching staff at some point, and it's coming, but we praised Brent Brown early in the year when things were going well, but now they're kind of reverting back to Jeff Albert ball, and I don't understand it.
It's been very frustrating.
And we consider, so we do the research, we talk to baseball people, but how many times second and third with one out? What's the baseball rule? Put the ball in play to the right side somewhere.
Right side. Yep.
Get a run. Yep. That was the old. It was Roger Maris who used to tell that to Mike Shannon. You'll need to drive in 80 runs in the year and you'll get 100. Well, why is that? Because 25 plus times they'll come up with a guy on third base, and I can just put the ball in play, and you're going to score a run.
Yep.
But they can't put the ball in play. And that comes down to a philosophical thing or a mental thing. It's bad.
It can also come down to, like we talked on the last podcast with the pitchers, where it's all max effort. Your guys are now giving your A-plus swing all the time. They're trying for that home run all the time because that's what makes the money. But you're exactly right. That inside-out swing, you go to the right side of the field, you're going to generate enough RBIs, and you're going to win ball games doing that. It's just simple, easy baseball.
Small ball that nobody wants to play anymore.
Nope.
And, if a team would adopt that of bunt, steal, hit, and runs, probably pretty successful in this era, except for you wouldn't get anybody to play for you because you're not hitting 30 home runs and not getting paid.
Yeah, you'd get your 28 to 34-year-old guys who are chasing a championship ring. That's the only guys you'd get who are just over their peak.
I completely understand. Let's go to the fifth. Let's look around the majors real quick. Looks like the Brewers are running away with the division, 70-plus wins. Cubs kind of holding on, but Milwaukee looks unstoppable, and it makes me sad because Milwaukee is what St. Louis used to be. Mid-sized market, but they've got ownership and a front office willing to do whatever it takes to win. They get a lot of comparisons because they're both beer towns. But at the same time, Milwaukee has decided we want to win, so we'll go get dudes, and St. Louis does not.
Where did Andrew Vaughn come from?
That guy was hitting $190 for the White Sox, and then all of a sudden decided, I'm not Chicago anymore, so I'm going to start playing again. If you're looking at a mid-season MVP, he's probably right up there. The guy just has gone bananas in the last, 6 weeks plus. Ohtani got his 1,000th hit, was a home run. It's kind of cool. Roman Anthony, he had less than 250 MLB at-bats. Just got $130 million. Just got paid.
Got that bag, son.
Good for you. And the final topic as we go around the majors, I love women. I've got a daughter. I've got a wife. Love women.
Same.
Major League Baseball tomorrow will have its first woman umpire doing the Braves game. and Sunday she's working the plate. The NFL has had women officials, never a referee, never the head referee. The NBA has one in Cruiser 3. Tyrell, you said something off airs are getting ready. The game's modernized. We're all a little more culturally sensitive, as we should be. They are the better gender 100%. But
No
could you
dispute.
imagine, a Lou Pinella, a Whitey Herzog, Sparky Anderson with a woman behind the plate and she misses a call?
It's going to be the worst. And I know the profanity slung at her and the things that are going to be said to her. Earl Weaver, any of those guys are going to just berate her so bad that nowadays they're out of the game or cancel whatever you say. They're out of the game after that. Like they're not coming back. They're probably fired after this. Yeah.
And again, I think it's great, equality
Love
all
it.
the way around.
Yes.
But I hope if we hear nothing, that's the best news. I will be curious though, just like every other umpire, curious to see what her umpire card is on Sunday after the game to see the missed balls and strikes, just like everybody else, especially a rookie umpire. But it is news because it is history, so it'll be kind of an interesting watch.
I'll tune in.
Yeah, the Cardinals do play Sunday night baseball, so we'll probably be watching that one Sunday afternoon. As we head to the top of the sixth here, let's talk some prospect rankings. We're going to kind of do our top 30 in groups of 5 here as we kind of finish out the season. I'm going to give you the list that we kind of have talked about, and you kind of give me your opinions. The guy that came over in the Red Sox deal, Blaze Jordan, with Luke and Baker now out, he's kind of the next right-handed bat up. Where do you see him the rest of the year?
The projection is that he's a Mike Trumbo, Matt Holliday type guy. I'd hope he leans more Matt Holliday than Mike Trumbo because that dude just struck out way too much. But man, could he hit the ball! I think he's gonna be brought up in the September to see what they got. And I think he's a Bloom guy, and I think he's gonna give a lot of runway at some point because I think Blaze Jordan is gonna really light us up. But also, he's a first base, third base guy. That's your positions you've got a lot of. Your middle infielders, yeah.
St. Louis will probably stick him in left field just because everybody can play left field, in their opinion. The next guy on my list, probably not a name a lot of people know, kind of a lower, but he's high on my list. Travis Honeyman. He is in high A ball right now. Kind of what are your thoughts on Travis?
High A, but he's a ways away. He's steadily climbing up. He's been having a really good season. I think he projected out to be pretty decent. Actually, I'm excited about him, and he's one of those that I'm kind of high on because, like we've said in the past, I collect baseball cards. We both do. He's one of those prospects that I'm high on, so I'm trying to collect as much as I can of him right now.
The next one, probably a bullpen arm we could see maybe as early as September, probably next year. Sim Rubbersay.
Really nice fastball, mid 95 to 97 with a changeup with a heavy sink. I like that out of him, which means you're going to be a ground ball pitcher. People are going to roll over that. You throw that, and then there's blow that 95 mile an hour fast right ball right by him. I think he's going to be probably a good relief pitcher.
Yeah, he's got the potential to be a high leverage arm where they don't have a lot of leverage arms. My next one is Brian Motts. He's looking like a left-handed specialist, most likely. If this had been 15, 16 years ago, he'd probably already be in the show because he could be what was called a loogie. He could get one guy out, but now having to throw to multiple. But in an organization that kind of lacks left-handed arms, if you know anybody who's left-handed and got a pulse, send him to St. Louis at this point because the organization as a whole lacks those left-handed arms. What's your thoughts on Bryson?
Solid in Double A this year. With he's got his mid 90s fastball, but yeah, like you agree, he's a mid 90. He's a specialist. He's going to be your left-handed guy, which would be great. Would have been great this with against the Dodgers. A lot of teams are stacking up left-handed, and I think it'll be. We'll see how he works out.
Well, yeah, because JoJo can't throw every day, and if you have to throw John King out there, I mean, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Next on my list, Gordon Graceffo. I think he's a future closer. I would like to see him get that runway right now. Let's see what he's got. He was, looking at maybe as a potential fourth or fifth starter, but now he's kind of a bullpen guy. I think he could be another high-end, power arm out of the pen.
I think the same thing. I think he's your your closer in waiting is what I got him written down as, because I think that's the way to the show is through that. Yeah, he wasn't the greatest starter down there, but he's been highly touted for a while as a starter. But now that they've thrown him in the bullpen, I think he's going to progress even faster and come up. Like hell, Helsley was a starter for a while, and look how good he became as the closer. So I think the same thing is easier for closer in waiting.
Traditionally, the Cardinals don't spend money on closers. I think Izzy's probably your last one, and then friend of the show, Ryan Franklin, who was a reclamation project and then kind of got the job by default. But it's been Mott, and then the Rosenthal. Mitchell Boggs got a little run there for a while, and then to what was that cat's name? They just DF'd him last year, but then it finished with Helsley. Giovanni Gallegos was the other guy.
Oh, Gallegos, yes.
Who also bombed out.
Yeah.
So the organization kind of develops closers, keeps them for about 3 years, and then runs their arm off and moves them down the road.
Gallegos was another guy that we ran through the ringer. We used his arm up fast.
Outside of the old traditional guys like Rivera, Hoffman, etc., I mean, the shelf life on a closer is about 4 to 5 years now anyway, so you might as well just burn them out and have your next one ready to go. The last guy on my list tonight, Mason Molina, the left-hander guy. He's probably okay. Another left-hander from an organization that seriously lacks left-handers. Probably not going to see him until maybe the tail end of next year in 26. Yeah.
That's what happened here too. He's the fourth Molina brother. But yeah, that's what I've got too. Yeah.
But that's kind of where we're at the prospects. We'll do about 5 a week till we get to number one. I think the number one pick is kind of obvious right now, but things can always change. We go to the 7th inning here, our fun topic. Tyrell, what is the best baseball video game of all time?
It's a game that I was really, really addicted to, and I was like, I loved the soundtrack to this game. I'm one of those guys that love to build my own character, build myself into a video game, so I'm going to play Major League Baseball. I was actually into NCAA Baseball 06. Loved that game. I was addicted.
That was awesome. That was right after EA Sports kind of lost the MVP license for Major League Baseball and switched to college. They had 2 years of that. I think 2K got the license at the time. My pick is also an MVP baseball game, but it's 2005 with Manny Ramirez on the cover.
That was the Manny one, yes.
Pujols was on the 04. Manny was on 05. Arguably the greatest baseball game of all time. But I'm a nerd, and so I loved the 2003 on the PlayStation 2. Derek Jeter on the cover, All-Star Baseball. It had expansion drafts. You could put teams in Mexico, Nashville, and had the Rule 5 draft, which was kind of huge at the time. I got that game from the Toys R Us and played the Jesus out of it my last year or two in college. It was just absolutely insane.
One big one for us growing up was Sega Genesis Tony La Russa Baseball.
Played that one as well. Played a ton of that one. RBI Baseball, a classic. Can't go wrong with Backyard Baseball.
No, you cannot. Yeah.
Arguably the GOAT video game character of all time, Pablo Sanchez.
Yes.
Who was the whitest dude ever named Pablo Sanchez.
Yes.
But Pablo, we're talking about, characters changing. MVP Baseball 05 had another GOAT, John Dowd. Left fielder for the San Francisco Giants because Barry Bonds refused to have his likeness in video games.
Yes. All 99. He was great. I forgot about that. As when I was young, I couldn't figure out who the hell is John Dowd. I don't know. This is Barry Bonds, and I never knew the secret behind it really until I got older.
Yeah, Barry just recently started doing his licensing again as far as sports cards, etc. go. That's why Bond stuff was kind of hot there for a while because it was so rare.
Mm-hmm.
Going to the 8th here as we're kind of finishing up on the night. This week's random Cardinal. Give me a third baseman from the past.
Troy Aloysius Glaus, whatever you say is that name. Troy Glaus.
The man with the longest swing in the MLB. They got him from Toronto for Scott Rowland, or what used to be Scott Rowland. And Glaus was all right for the Cardinals for a year or two. He was kind of a transition guy between Rowland and David Freese. I got 2 of them. Give me Gary Gaetti on those first La Russa teams in the mid-90s. The Rat. Dude played third base. And he was in MLB so long, he was grandfathered in. Didn't have the ear flaps on the helmet. He was still rocking the old helmet. And then a guy from my childhood, Todd Zeile, who once led the Cardinals for a season in home runs at 17.
Oh gosh. I was a Todd Zeile fan too, but I thought he was going to be a catcher, and then they transitioned to third base because Pagnozzi was just so good defensively and great with the pitching staff. Zeile was a hot prospect for a while for the Cardinals.
And then he ended up being kind of a journeyman. He went to the Florida and the Mike Piazza deal. Went to LA for a while, the Mets. So Todd Zeile ended up having a pretty long major league career and was a decent power hitter for a while. He was kind of my random guy that always thought Todd Zeile can hit with power. He hit 17 home runs to lead the team. That's how bad they were. In those early to mid 90s when the Brewery, much like the ownership today, stopped caring. Y'all don't even know who Felix Jose is.
Oh, I like Felix Jose though. Donovan Osborne.
The 1996 Game 7 of the National League Championship Series where Donovan Osborne flat shit the bed against the Braves. Went an inning and a third, I think it'd be about 9 runs. They were up 3-1 in that series in Lewis's first year.
Yep, that was one of the most depressing series for me too, because I was like, we're back, here we go, and then they just got boat raced,
28-2 or something in the last 3 games of those series.
Yep, it was bad. I was so disappointed.
The pitching was just gone at that point. Stained game used pants are, I think, somewhere in the Cardinals Hall of Fame because he crapped himself when he saw the Braves then. We're kind of right at third headed for home. Cubs this weekend. I mean, I guess there'll be a decent crowd. It's kind of one of the last weekends before school starts. Starting to get hot again, but you're still 9 games out. Cubs fighting for their playoff lives here, leading the wild card. Low expectations as always, Tyrell.
Low expectations. I think the Cubs are it's going to be a bloodbath. They're touting it like it's a big deal and like it's going to be a series, but I think Cubs are such a better team than the Cardinals. I just don't see it being. It's obviously going to be competitive, but it's low expectations.
You know, you brought this up, and I remember it was on the air, off the air, but they've always played to the level of their competition. You know, you look at the Dodgers series as the key. You know, you got Boyd versus McGreevy tomorrow. There's that soft toss on lefty. That's an L.
That's an L, 100%.
I mean, just go ahead and put that one down. Saturday night, Colin Ray against Palante. Probably an L.
Yeah.
And then the game of the world, Sunday Night Baseball. We are looking at, if my thing will come up here, trying to base it off of the Saturday night still. Love the MLB app. It's super user friendly.
Super user friendly.
Sonny Gray throwing against Imagine, the lefty from.
Yeah, Imanaga.
Imanaga. I apologize for butchering that name.
Yeah.
But look, another lefty. Well,
and him.
Well, this was fun.
I've never seen a team traditionally horrible against a soft tossing lefty. Cardinals are traditionally always bad against a soft tossing lefty. I hated seeing Jamie Moyer. He whooped our ass.
But they can roll Kershaw. They used to roll Randy Johnson.
Yes. You're like, what is... You can hit an ace, but this 45-year-old Jamie Moyer can strike out 10 batters in a game? What?
That's why they need to sign Rich Hill, man. That way he wouldn't pitch against him at 45 years old.
Yes.
75 years old. Can't move his left arm over his head anymore. But it's going to strike out 7 Cardinals over 5.
That's the way it is.
We will probably do a short hop before the game on Sunday, with it being kind of a night game. And I'm a teacher, and I go back to work Monday. Summer's over. It's kind of rough here. But this has been a Mitch'n and Mauck'n podcast about the Cards. For Tyrell Mauck, I'm Mitchell. We will see you Sunday with a short hop.
See ya.